Hey guys, so today we're working on Ancient Greece Standards 6.47, and I had asked you to copy this standard and enhance any of the keywords that were in the standard to help you better understand what the standard is asking us to do. So I'm going to read the standard to you, and then we're going to toggle this screen back and forth between a couple of other screens as we go through the lesson. Alright, Standard 6.47 says, explain how the geographical location of ancient Athens and other city-states contributed to their role in maritime trade, their colonies in the Mediterranean, and the expansion of the cultural influence. Okay, so you should have typed in this standard into your Word document, and then I ask you to enhance the keywords. Those keywords that you should have enhanced, were explain, that's your verb that's telling you what to do. So explain geographical location, ancient Athens, city-states, maritime trade, colonies, Mediterranean, expansion of culture. So those are the words you should have enhanced by highlighting, bold print, italics, underlined, or you could have changed the font color. You could have done numerous things to those words so that you see them better. Now, the second thing that you were to do is you were supposed to copy and paste these questions in, but you were to tell me in your own words now what the standard wants you to do. And I wanted you to put this in a one-by-one table underneath the standard and color code it. So, you're going to have to listen for this answer, because I'm not going to type it for you. Because if I type it, we both know what's going to happen. You're going to be prone to want to type exactly what I have. I don't want you to do that. I want you to put it in your own words. Okay, so if we look back at the standard and it says, explain how the geographical location of ancient Athens and other city-states contributed to their role in maritime trade, their colonies in the Mediterranean, and the expansion of their cultural influence. One of the words that you needed to use down here was definitely the word explain. So basically, alright, if you need to make any changes when I say this, you can. You do not have to put exactly what I say, because I'm probably going to say it a couple of different ways. But you need to have similar answer to what I'm telling you. Basically, what this standard wants you to know is it wants you to be able to explain how the locations of Athens and the other city-states in that area contributed to trade, specifically maritime trade. Maritime trade is trade on the water. So, we'll stop right there and go back. So basically the standard so far has asked you to explain the location of Athens, how that location contributed to trade on the water. Now, you're going to find out in the lesson that there were colonies in the Mediterranean, Greek colonies. They traded at those Greek colonies all throughout the Mediterranean to be able to trade tangible and non-tangible items. And then when it says the expansion of their cultural influence, that goes back to the non-tangible items. You can trade cultures. That is not something that you can touch or feel. So, what this standard is asking you to do, if I were writing the answer, is I would put, explain how the geographical location of Athens and the city-states contributed to trade on the water, it contributed to their colonies in the Mediterranean, and how did they expand their culture. Or you could have said something like, explain how the geographical location, or explain where ancient Athens is located on a map, or explain the location of Athens and the city-states around it, expanded their culture, and how it contributed to their trade on the water, and how it contributed to their colonies on the Mediterranean Sea. So, that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this standard. Is you're going to be able to explain to me, hopefully, where Athens is located and where the city-states are located. How did that help them and their colonies when they were trading on the water in the Mediterranean, and how did it help to expand their cultural influence? Now, question 3 asks you what a polis was. And I'm going to give you this definition. So you're going to type the definition on your Word document, and then you're going to transfer that definition to the worksheet that I've given you that looks like this. And right here is polis. So you're going to transfer that definition here. So you're going to have it two places. You're going to have it here, and you're going to have it here. Alright, let's get rid of this box so that you can see the answer. A polis is basically a Greek city-state. And each one of the polises act like its own country. And I have a typo here that I'm going to fix right now. And if you know any Greek language, which you're going to find some out, but right now, I'm just totally tongue-tied. Okay, so right now I'm going to teach you one. The word polis actually means city in Greek. So that's why they called it a polis, because it meant city. So a polis is a Greek city-state. Okay, if you didn't get that definition, you can pause the video whenever you need to, because I'm about to cover it up. And I'm going to do that right now. Alright, the next thing that I ask you to do is you were supposed to copy question number 4, which said make a 2x2 table. You know how to insert tables in Word, so you should have that done. You're going to label one column geography and the other column colonies. So it should look like this. Now, we're going to type in some information in each one of these columns. So I'm going to be toggling back and forth between this Word document and this slide right here. And maybe a couple others. Alright, so here we go. Alright, the very first question again said, whoops, wrong one. Said make 2 columns, label one geography and the other column colonies. Alright, here we go. First of all, the geography of ancient Greece. Alright, here was our definition again of a polis. A polis is a Greek city-state. Polises were made up of towns or cities in surrounding areas, and each polis acted as its own independent country. Now, what was so geographical, amazing about Greece? Greece is full of mountains and seas. So if you look at this map, an overhead view of a map, you can see the topography. Topography is the layout of the land. All of this that you see that looks real rough, that's all mountains. Even down here on the Peloponnesus, that's all mountains. So, because you had these mountains, if you had a city over here and a city over here, they were going to be separated by the mountains. If you had cities here and cities here, they're going to be separated by the sea. This is actually a gulf, but it's going to be separated by bodies of water and by mountains in Greece. So, for example, Olympia over here was separated by the mountains from Sparta, which was down here. Alright, so let's go back to this slide. So mountains and seas separated Greek communities from each other. The people were loyal to the community that they lived in. So people in Greenville are loyal to Greenville. They don't live in Johnson City, so they're not as loyal to Johnson City. The communities became fiercely independent. So they didn't need anybody else to help take care of them. They could take care of themselves. They got all the needs met for their people that they needed. So they didn't have to have anybody to come in to help them. So the first note that we're going to make on geography is mountains, and you can see I've color coded this, mountains and seas, whoops, if I could type. Alright, so mountains and seas separated Greek communities, just like the map that I showed you. Alright. People were loyal to their community in which they lived, and the communities became very independent. Alright, so explain how the geographical location of ancient Athens and other city-states contributed to their role in maritime trade. Now, one of the things that you need to know about these city-states, the polis, the communities, were a lot of them were on the shoreline. That's for a couple of reasons. The main reason is it's going to be really hard to build houses in all of these mountains. So you're going to build it out here on a flat land. That was an advantage to Greece because if you're down here on this flat land, you're also near the ocean, so you're on a shoreline. Makes it easier to trade on the water because you can build ports here. And you can trade all throughout the Ionian Sea. You can trade around into the Aegean Sea, out to this, and all of this is part of the Mediterranean Sea. You can even make your way out of the Mediterranean Sea into the Atlantic Ocean. So they were to an advantage because they could build on shorelines. Now, it's not to say that other countries aren't to that advantage either. You don't have to have a mountainous terrain to still build a house on a shoreline. But it would be almost impossible to build a lot of houses all over these mountains. I mean, yeah, we have houses on our mountains, and yeah, they did have some here, but some of these mountains are huge. Can you imagine trying to build a house on the Himalaya mountains? So, yeah. So it was just much easier. Plus, it was to their advantage to be closer to the shoreline so that they could trade out in the water. All right, let's see what else we have on this slide. Colonies in the Mediterranean. Colonies in the Mediterranean, the local farmers could not produce enough grain to feed the growing population. So to fix this problem, they sent people outside the Aegean area to establish colonies. Colonies traded with their parent cities on the Greek mainland. Okay, we're going to talk about this a little bit. All right, so first you need to know what a colony is. I read this to you, colonies in the Mediterranean, and I read you this information, but you might be sitting there going, well, okay, Miss Wills, what's a colony though? All right, a colony, simply put, is a body of people who settle far from home, but they maintain ties with their homeland. So it's kind of like you and your siblings. Whenever your brothers and sisters, when you all get married, you may leave and go far away from home, but you still maintain ties with your parents and your hometown. So you might move to San Francisco, Chicago, Bulls Gap, let's see where else, Charleston, Oklahoma, Denver. You might move anywhere. Some of you might even move to Greece. Some of you might move to Rome. But the thing about it is you still keep in contact with your parents. You still keep in contact with what's going on in your home community, Greenville. All right, so that's a colony. So what we're going to do is, I'm pretty sure, yeah, was just double checking, you have colonies on the worksheet that looks like this. So right here on colonies, we've got 3 bullets. We also, on the Word document, have colonies right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in the definition of colony. So it's, again, a body of people who settle far from home but maintain ties with their homeland. Okay, so I have this typed in now. A body of people who settle far from home but maintain ties with their homelands. Now, on the worksheet that you have here, you also have colonies. We're going to move right below this table, and I want you to type that same answer that you had here. I want you to type it hello, you're writing, good grief. Okay, you're going to write it here. So a body of people who settle far from home but maintain ties with their homeland. So that's the definition of a colony, and we need to put that there too. Colony. A body of people who settle far from home but maintain ties with their homeland. Okay, now you can draw an arrow up here to colonies on your paper if you'd like to, because we're going to put the 3 bullets that we had right here. So local farmers couldn't produce enough grain to feed the growing population. So what we're going to put is local farmers had trouble growing crops to feed all the people. Because that's basically what that says. To fix this problem, they sent people outside the Aegean area to establish colonies. Okay, so we're going to say fixer-upper. Send people out to establish colonies. Colonies. All right, to establish colonies. Those colonies are what? They are a body of people who settle far from home but maintain ties with their homeland. So if you can't grow enough crops to feed all the people, send them, this sounds bad, send them out, send them away. But that's not what they were doing. They weren't saying, oh, we can't feed you, go away. They were sending them out to establish a colony for a couple of reasons, okay? And we'll get to that, so let's just keep going for a minute. All right. Now these colonies traded with their parent cities on the Greek mainland. So remember when we said that they maintained ties with their homeland? Okay, so they were going to put these new colonies, and I can't type, stayed in contact with the parent, which was the Greek mainland. Okay, so I have the definition of colony, and then I have the 3 reasons that a colony was established, that the Greeks established a colony. Now, while we're talking about a colony, I want you to go to, let's see, is it the top? Nope, let me find it. Hang on a second. Haha, I found it. All right, on the back of the worksheet that you were typing this answer on, you will find this map. You are going to need the colors, you definitely need blue. Okay, and I used red and green. I don't care what other 2 colors, do I care? I don't, maybe I do care. All right, so let's go with blue, red, and green and your regular pencil. Okay, we're going to color this map in because I'm going to show you where these people went to establish these colonies. So the first color that you're going to need is blue because we're going to color all the water in to get it out of the way. Otherwise, this map can be confusing. Okay, I have the water colored in blue. You should color the water in as well. Don't judge me. I had to color this with a mouse on a computer. Yeah, it was not easy. Do not judge me. Okay, so we've colored in the water. Oh, we did forget one. Oh, fantastic. I was so hoping I'd get to color again. Not. Alright, right here, this right here is the Black Sea, so we can color it in as well. Oh boy, hang on. Okay, I have it done. Now, you can't see this on this map because it's just not that great. But what we're going to do is right here, we're going to connect this because this does connect into the Black Sea, and it doesn't look like it does on this map. I don't know why. But this waterway does connect because if you look at a map of the ancient Greece, then you can see right here, here's the Aegean Sea, over here's Greece, and we are right up here at the Black Sea, and you can see right there, see that? It does connect from the Aegean Sea into the Black Sea. So we're going to make sure that ours connects as well. Alright, so what you need to do now is we're going to label some places. So since I've already told you this one is the Black Sea, that's what you're going to label this, the Black Sea. Alright, then we're going to label this down here, the Mediterranean Sea. M-E-D-I-T-E-R-R-E-A-N, am I right? I think I got an extra, nope, sorry. A-N-E-A-N, okay, the Mediterranean Sea. Then we're going to, we're going to put at the top of our map, up here, at the very tip top of your map, I want you to write in great big letters, I want you to put, I'm going to move it over here, trade among the, guess who, the people that moved far away from home but maintained contact with their homeland. That's right, you guessed it, you guys, colonies. So trade among the colonies. And then we're going to add one more little writing right here. I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, it doesn't have to be as big and bold, but we're going to put, this is star 750 BC to 550 BC. Alright, so this is between 750 and 550 BC. Alright, the first color that you're going to need is red. So we're going to switch to red. And we're going to color in the mainland of Greece, right here. Now you can't see the Peloponnesus on this map, but we're going to, you know it's there, at least I hope you know it's there, and so we're going to color in what was considered the mainland. So, starting right about here, go up to this corner, and we're going to color this in. Okay, this is all going to be red. Okay, now believe it or not, we're going to continue with this because this was also part of the Greek mainland. We're going to go around this shoreline, okay, skip over that body of water, and we're going to go down to right about here. Alright, this was part of the part of Greece too, and so was this island here. Alright, this island is Crete. So we're going to color this in red. Whoops, sorry. I'm coloring out lines. My kindergarten teacher would be so upset with me. Alright, then we're going to make a box somewhere. Let's see, let me look at your worksheet. You've got, yeah, we can put it right in here. So we're going to put a little box right here, okay, that's colored in red. So I'm going to dip some red paint in there. And this is what we're going to call Greece. So we're color coding, making our map key. So this is Greece. Alright, now let me, hang on. Alright, I made that a little bit smaller because you can make it smaller in the map. Alright, so we have Greece. All this is the Greece mainland, the parent city. Okay, now we're going to color code in our colonies because what we had written down on this was a colony is a body of people who settle far from home but maintain ties with their homeland. So we're going to put the colonies on here now. Alright, so let's start northeast of Greece. Alright, so right in here, okay, we're going to color this in green. So right here, whoops, yeah, I guess this is what I'm going to use. Alright, so right here, this is where some colonies were established, and they were established also up to about here. So we're going to go along the shoreline of the Black Sea. These were Greek colonies where people moved and settled, but they maintained ties with the mainland, with the parent, okay? They were just kids right here, you know, they were just little kids. They couldn't take care of themselves, so they still needed mom and daddy down here to take care of them, so, you know, that's how it was. All right, then they also, right up here at the tip top of the Black Sea, there was a colony here. There was also a colony right here. And in this little area that seems to be closed in, but actually it's connected, this is another colony right here. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 colonies so far. All right, they could make their way on around, so they had a colony here. Okay, so we're making our way around the Black Sea. All right, then right here where this line is, we're going to go just below it, and we're going to draw a colony all the way around the south shore of the Black Sea and down to where it meets the mainland. So all of this now is colonies. So let's go ahead and type in what we're color coding. We're color coding Greek colonies. All right, I'll tell you one more time. People who moved far away from the mainland and established colonies there, and they still stayed in contact with the mainland. Okay, why did they have to move? Well, local farmers had trouble growing crops to feed all the people. They sent people out to establish the colonies, and then these colonies stayed in contact with the parent, with mama and daddy. Okay, mama and daddy's right here in the red. All right, now there's more colonies. There's a lot more colonies actually, so let's keep going. Okay, just I guess you would say northeast of Crete, we have a colony that has been established right here. So here's a colony. There's also a colony that was established right here. All right, let's make our way around the Mediterranean Sea. And believe it or not, they had a colony right here. See the Nile? All right, right here in Egypt, there was a colony right beside the Nile Delta. So they had a Greek colony here. We're going to keep moving around, going west. Okay, over here in this little dip, we're going to start our colony here and go around. All right. Okay, so here's another Greek colony. All right, let's keep moving, only this time we're going to go all the way around the Mediterranean Sea at the shoreline of Africa, and we're going to cross over. Now actually this right here, we could go ahead and turn this blue because we know that this right here that the Atlantic Ocean feeds into, that's really not a good blue, feeds into the Mediterranean Sea. So this needs to be blue right here and connected. That's terrible, but yours will look better. All right, let's keep going with our green because there's still more colonies. I can't talk tonight. There was a colony that when you went outside the Mediterranean Sea and you went through this little waterway, there was a colony over here in Spain. It was right here. Okay, so it was a Greek colony here. All right, let's keep moving. We're going to go on, work our way on around. Right here, there's another Greek colony. And then there are more Greek colonies that make their way all around this shoreline. Okay, up to the tip top, and you can see we're moving back into Italy here. All right, now, if we move down into Italy, remember Italy looks like a boat. A boat. Oh, I give up. A boot. I don't know what kind of boat this is, but it looks like a boot. Okay, so on the toe of her boot, we're going to color this colony up, go a little ways up the shin. Okay, so if your boot came up the front of your leg, it would come up a little ways there. So we'll move that up, and then we're only going to color the inside of the heel right there. So you can see I still have some over here that's not part of the Greek colony, but the inside is the Greek colony. Then we're going to move right here to Sicily, and we're going to, it looks like a flat football. Alright, so we're going to color only half of it, and that's going to be the eastern side. This part was Greek colony, this was not. Alright, now, we missed one little island. We know Crete was a mainland, but Cyprus was a colony, and it was only the northern portion of Cyprus. So we're going to color the top of Cyprus with green for our Greek colony. Okay? Now, if you're wondering what this right here is, this is part of the Red Sea. Okay, so this technically should be colored in blue because this is the Red Sea. Again, my kindergarten teacher would not be happy. Alright, now we've got our Greek colonies in green. We've got Greece, our mainland, in red. We need one other thing. Now, we're going to switch and go back to this worksheet, okay, to maritime trade. Okay, for those of you who were typing in the standard 6.47 and typing and highlighting and enhancing the keywords and then putting in your own words what the standard's asking us to do and answering the question about what a polis is and then making our table, you're pretty much done with that. So you're going to continue to concentrate on this worksheet right here. So we're up here in maritime trade. Alright, you see the word maritime. Hopefully you see the root word, mara, M-A-R-I, and that reminds you of something, maybe a marina, marine, not like a marine like Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, but marine like waterway, like a place where you put your boats, a marina. Alright, so we're talking about maritime. So maritime is bordering on the sea. However, the definition of maritime trade is this little bitty thing right here that I'm going to hopefully make large, and I did, is the transport. Okay, so I don't know why this word is here. This is a typo. Transport is the okay, so maritime trade, I'm taking this out just so you know, is the shipment of goods, which is called cargo, and people by sea or other waterways. So let's go to our worksheet here for maritime trade, and we're not going to put that exact same definition, we're going to put it in our own words. So basically maritime trade is shipping cargo or people using using waterways. It could be a river, it could be an ocean, it could be a stream. Well, probably not a stream. Maybe if you're Barbie and Ken, you could use the stream. Otherwise, no. So seas, oceans, rivers, those type of things that you trade, that you ship cargo, goods, products that you're trading. Or you can move people on waterways. Think about a cruise if you've been on a cruise. They are moving you from one place to the other. Luckily for you, they're not trading you when they get you to the Bahamas or when they get you to Jamaica. They do let you get back on the boat. However, when you get off the boat, you can go take your money, or you can take, pretty much your money, and you can go trade your money for items that you would like to get at those nice little places when you go. So maritime trade is shipping cargo or people using water. Alright, hope you got that. Alright, so we're going to get rid of this and move right along. Okay, the role of maritime trade. Colonies shipped grains, metals, fish, timber, and enslaved people. And yes, in that time period, they did trade slaves. So you get on boats and take cruises today, and you can get off the boat and you can go trade goods, and you won't be sold as an enslaved person. You're allowed to get back on the boat. During the time of ancient Greece, they did trade and ship slaves. So, some of the things that the colonies traded with the mainland and other colonies were grains, metals, fish, timber, which hopefully you know that is like big huge pieces of wood, and enslaved people to Greece. The Greece mainland would send them wine, olive oil, and pottery. Now, they also had a coin system. The Greeks started making their coins from metal, and this expanded trade as merchants traded money for goods rather than bartering. You know that bartering is you say, oh, I've got these 5 lead pencils and I really like that cool purple ink pen that you're using. I'll trade you these 5 lead pencils for that purple ink pen. And you might trade it or you might not. Well, now, because the Greeks have coins, they don't have to worry about trading another item for an item. They can actually buy it with money like we do. Because of that, the coin system increased the colony's wealth. Now, their coins looked something like this. Okay, kind of similar to ours. You know, if you look at our coins, there's the face of a president on one side, and then there's a house, or you can get those fancy quarters now for each state, and they have, you know, the state emblem on them. Well, they're coins, and you can see they weren't exactly perfectly round in some places, but they had faces on them. They were made of metal, just like ours are, and they used it to purchase goods. Okay, let's keep going. Now, because they traded not only all of these things, which we call, you can touch them, you can feel them, they must be, do you know, say it if you know it, say it out loud. Say it out loud if you know it. Did you say tangible? Because those are all tangible items. Okay, so these are tangible items. But they also, because of all the colonies that they had established here, okay, they were able to spread their culture as well. When you can spread something that you can't touch, a culture, a religion, a language, those are non-tangible items. So these new colonies that they established, that put their Greek culture in these new areas. Some of those areas were southern Italy, Sicily, France, Spain, North Africa, and Western Asia. All right, now let's go back to this map that we were working on. Okay, so I know I have you flipping back and forth and back and forth. Just work with me here. All right, so we're going to start at the Greek mainland right here, and this is where you're going to need your pencil. So we're going to put a little arrow in, and I'm actually going to do this. I don't think I can draw a really good one. Let's see if they've got one for me. Oh, good, perfect, they do. All right, so let me grab this one. So right here, you're going to put an arrow in the color just using your pencil. Okay, so I'm going to change that color to look like pencil. Now, we're going to label this the trade route. Sorry, I can't write. I need to take this off bold. I need to bump this down. I should have prepared better, but I'm doing okay. Here we go. All right, so this is going to be the Greek trade route. Okay, they traded all throughout the Mediterranean Sea. All right, who did they trade with? Well, they traded with their colonies, you silly wabbit. Don't you know that? All right, so the Greek colonies, these were like the kids. This was the parent. Remember, they stayed in contact with Mommy and Daddy because they could send them grains so that then they would have enough food to feed their people, and they could send them timber that they had cut down from the forest around the area. They could send that back to Mom and Dad, and Mom and Dad could send them pottery and olive oil and wine and the things that they needed and wanted. So they traded with their Greek colonies, which means that when we're putting our trade route on here, we're going to be using, or we're going to be going to our colonies. So we're starting here with Greece, and we're going to start on the eastern shoreline. All right, one of the first places that they, well, it wasn't the first place, but one of the places they could go from here was they could travel up. And remember, I told you that this actually was a waterway that connected the Black Sea? They could travel into the Black Sea and trade with their colonies here. They could make their way on up, trade with their colonies up in this area. And yes, that does include this column, these as well. And they could travel over here, and they could trade with their colonies there. All right, they also, we're going to go to the southern tip now of Greece. They also could trade down in here with these colonies and over here with these colonies. So from here, they could travel down into northern Africa. They could travel to Egypt near the Nile Delta. And then they could travel over to the little island of Cyprus. Sorry, Crete, I didn't mean to run over you there. They could trade with Cyprus, and they could trade with their colonies here. So now we've gone east, we've gone southeast, we've gone south. Now we're going to go west and northwest. All right, so we've got colonies all around in here. We don't have any colonies down here, so it's not going to be smart for us to go down and around Sicily and back up. So we're going to use this little waterway through here. So we're going to start on the eastern shore of Greece. We're going to travel in between Italy and Sicily, because guess what? You got colonies on both sides, so you can trade both places there. We're going to make our way on up through here to our northern colonies. And then while we're here, we can actually travel on down to the colony here at Spain. And then we have to go outside the Mediterranean Sea to get around to this colony to trade with them. All right, so do you see how, and it goes both ways. So even though we've only got arrows trading from the mainland out, remember these colonies sent stuff back to the mainland, okay? So they traded things back in to the mainland just like the mainland was sending stuff out. So that's our trade route. It went all throughout the Mediterranean Sea. It went north, it went south, it went east, it went west. It went all the different directions to all of these colonies. And that was within a 200-year span, 750 BC to 550 BC. All right, while we're here, I'm going to get rid of all this. I hope you got it. Okay, we're going to watch a video on maritime trade.
Now, the soil throughout the Greek islands is pretty desolate. It's not much good for farming. I can see now why most ancient Greeks lived along the coastline. Because above all, they were a people surrounded by water, a civilization defined by and dependent upon the sea. The ancient Romans built their roads on land, but the ancient Greeks built theirs on the water. Just look, by 500 BC, their seaways stretched from Spain and northern Africa through France and Cyprus to present-day Bulgaria, Ukraine, Romania, Russia, and Turkey. Maritime trade along these routes boomed.
Greek shipping now spanned the Mediterranean, making trade with Palestine, Africa, Italy, and the Black Sea.
Okay, now you probably noticed that they did trade with Africa. They did trade way on out into the ocean here. They traded all along the shoreline of Africa here, and they traded all over the Black Sea. Well, that is because when we had our time written here, 750 to 550 BC, as time went on and they established more colonies in different places and they expanded out even farther, then they could trade in more places, okay? All right, let's move right along now. So we've got maritime trade. Hopefully you understand it a little bit more. Remember, maritime trade is trade on the water. We have that definition right here. Shipping cargo or people using waterways. All right, so let's keep on trucking. Here is the map that you can see that we just did. So if we were as fancy as a map maker is, then our map would look just like this. So you can see in the 200-year span here where all they were trading. Okay, and it's all the same places that we had marked. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, so we're going back to this worksheet now, and we're going to finish this worksheet up, okay, because we've got the map on the other side. This right here, we have this done now. Okay, the only thing we lack is right underneath this map, and let me switch. Hang on one second. Aha, I found it. Okay, Eureka. Okay, so right here's where you had the dates. I put it above. Whoopsie, I didn't know that you had that there because I didn't have that in front of me. Okay. All right, so we got our map done. All right, so we need to go here and put the definition of a colony yet again. So hopefully you remember this was our definition. We didn't write it exactly like that, but it's a body of people who settle far away from home but maintain ties with their homeland. All right, so what we put on the back, and yeah, we're going to write it again, but it's short, is a body of people who settle far from home but maintain ties with their homeland. And then for maritime trade, we have already written this one as well, shipping cargo or people using waterways. All right, now hopefully you saw that slide, and I'll go back to it, for tangible and non-tangible items. All right, let's take a look. We talked about tangible and non-tangible. Okay, so some of the things that were tangible: grains, metal, fish, timber, enslaved people. So we're going to go here to our trade items at tangible. Remember we said, we said grains, metal, fish, we didn't type, fish, timber, enslaved people. And we ought to know what non-tangible items are. It's the same type of things that were traded on the Silk Road that were non-tangible. Religion, culture, language, okay? Things you can't touch. So tangible, non-tangible. Okay, I hope you got that, because now we are switching to the back and we're going to finish the rest of the back side of this paper. Okay, so we already have maritime trade, shipping cargo, people using waterways. We also have the reasons, the definition of colony, body of people who settle far from home, maintain ties with their homeland. Hopefully by now you've got that, because I've said it like 1,000 times. All right, and then we've got the reasons the colonies were created: because local farmers had trouble growing crops to feed all the people, so they needed a fixer-upper, so they decided they'd send people out to establish these colonies. Well, these new colonies then stayed in contact with their mama and their daddy, which was the Greek mainland, because they needed them to trade items back and forth. All right, so now we're going to go to some of these words that you're like, what in the world is that? I can't even pronounce that word. All right, so let's start with Acropolis. All right. Basically, the Acropolis is a city on a hill. Now, the key word in that is hill. So, once you've got that written, we're going to go down to this map that you have on your paper. And the Acropolis is not this, it's not this or this. The Acropolis is all of this. So, this right here is pointing to the hill where it's located. So this is the Acropolis. So we're going to label that. I'm going to insert a text box right here so I can type. And we're going to label this the Acropolis. Okay? Because it is a city on a hill. Hill being the key word. Okay? The Acropolis set far above Greece. And you could see out over the smaller cities down below. Now the things that were on the Acropolis. Okay, this map's a really good one, but there's another one here if I can find it. Hang on. Haha, here we go. You can thank Miss Fortell for this, because she was the one who found this awesome map. And it is the same picture as what you have. Okay, so all of this is the Acropolis. but we're going to label a couple of things. So I'm going to toggle back and forth between this map and the paper that we're doing. All right, let's start here with number 5. It says on the right you can see the Parthenon. This is the Parthenon. So we're going to go back to our worksheet right here, and we're going to label this the Parthenon. Okay, so, whoops, I'm not typing again. Parthenon. You might have been to Nashville before and seen the Parthenon. There's a replica of the Parthenon in Nashville. Okay, so this is the Parthenon. It's going to sit on top of the Acropolis. Okay, the next thing we're going to label, and it's right here. Okay, it's hard to see, so I'm going to see if I can enlarge this a little bit. Yep, there we go. Alright, this is to the right of the Propylaea. You see the small iconic temple of Athena Nike, a work by the architect blah, 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 blah. Here, Athena was worshipped as a protector of the Athens in war. Alright, so this is the Athena Nike temple. So we're going to go back to our worksheet, and we're going to put right here, Athena Nike temple. And yes, if you own a pair of Nike tennis shoes, that's where they got this name. They got the name of your tennis shoes from one of the Greek gods and goddesses when we study all the Greek gods and goddesses. Nike. Alright, now this right here is hard to see on this map because it just looks like it's pointing to grass or a building, but technically what it's really supposed to be pointing at is this ramp. Okay, there's a ramp here. This is the Propylaea. Basically, the way that it worked, it's just an access point to get up to the top of the Acropolis. Now probably if I could talk again, probably some of you are going, well duh, Miss Wills, right here's some steps that are going up to this building, why not just go this way? Well, probably, and I'm not positive about this, but I would say that probably the slaves and the servants used this point to go up into the Acropolis. So if you were going to go into the Acropolis, you would use this ramp, okay, called the Propylaea. Today, in ancient times, the visitor goes up the Acropolis on the west side because it's less steep and easier to access. Okay, so you would typically go up the west side. Alright, but the Propylaea is a monumental entrance to the Acropolis. So all this is, it's a ramp to go into the Acropolis. And when you go into the Acropolis, you're going into this, you go through this monument, and then you make your way into the entire Acropolis, into this entire area of temples to the gods and goddesses. Okay, it was designed by the architect and was composed of a central building and 2 chambers on either side. The ceilings were particularly impressive, with coffers, square marble slabs decorated with colour, and gilded metal ornaments. Alright, so it was a fancy smancy building. Okay, but here's the word, Propylaea. So that's how we're going to label it on our worksheet, right here. This is the Propylaea, Propylaea. I think that's right spelling. Let me look. Yes, it is. Okay, so this is the Propylaea. What was the Propylaea? It was basically a ramp to enter the monument before going, before going onto the, the Acropolis. Okay? Alright. And I think that gets all the labeling on there done, at least the most important parts. Okay, lots of these others are temples and things that were, I'm not sure who this is a statue of. Probably I can find out. I'll do a little research and see if I can. Looks like there's another statue here, but all these are temples or monuments to Greek gods and goddesses. And like I said, when you were up here on the Acropolis, you could look down into the city-states down here, and you could see the agora, which is another word that we're going to right now, agora. Alright, here's the fancy smancy definition of agora, a public space used for assemblies and markets. Here's what we're going to write. An open marketplace. You know what that is. You've been to a farmer's market before. Okay, so it's an open marketplace. Alright, it was sometimes used for assembly. You know what an assembly is? It's when a bunch of people gather together, and maybe you would have someone who was against something that was going on in the city, or maybe someone that was for something that was going on in the city, and they would voice their opinion as to why they thought that was a good thing or a bad thing. And they would do this in the middle of this open marketplace. All right, so let's kind of equate it to something today. You've been to a farmer's market. Have you ever been to a farmer's market where they were playing music? Maybe a fall fest where they had all these little gazebos, little buildings around, or little tents around, and they were selling their goods in this open marketplace. And then there was like a little stage or different little areas where people were playing music. There you go. That's what the agora was in ancient Greece. It was an open marketplace, sometimes used as an assembly place. If it's a marketplace, then it's a place for markets. There are going to be people selling stuff there, okay? Okay, all we lack now is the Minoans, the Mycenaeans, and the Classic Age, and then I think we will have this done. Yes, we will. All right, let's keep on going. Okay, the fancy smancy definition for Minoans is an inhabitant of Minoan Crete, or a member of the Minoan people. We're not going to keep that. We're going to use our own definition and use our own words. So let's get rid of it. All right, so what we're going to type in here is a person who lived in ancient Crete. Do you remember where ancient Crete was? Ancient Crete was that little island right there. So if you came from Crete, you were considered a Minoan. All right? So, a person who lived in ancient Crete, on ancient Crete, who lived on the island of ancient Crete. Ta-da! All right, all we are left with now is Classic Age and Mycenaean. All right, here we go. So I'm going to give you just the shortened definition of what the Mycenaeans were. The Mycenaeans were people from the area or the region called, I hope I can spell this in, Mycenae. I want to say that's wrong. I think it's EA. Let's see. Yes. Okay, from Mycenae. Now, Mycenae is located right here. Mycenae. So it's on the Peloponnesus. Okay, remember how we talked about the city-states were like independent countries? Well, the people of Mycenae, the Mycenaeans, they were fiercely loyal to their community, fiercely loyal to their city-state right here. They did not back down from any battle whatsoever. They had their own language, their own written language that was called something that was like linear B. So they were a real interesting group of people. Okay, let's look right here at this. I looked this up real quick just because it's interesting about them, and just a little side note. Okay, let me read it. Okay, the city itself, Mycenae, the city itself, it was the center of power. It was so powerful that their influence spread to Corinth, Thebes, we've talked about Thebes, Athens. They adopted their own culture. They had their own written script called, Linear B. They were known as the Mycenaeans. They were a militaristic society. In other words, they had soldiers, and their warriors were prepared always for battle. They never surrendered to those who threatened them, and they always protected their cities, they always protected their wealth, and they always protected their cultural treasures. They were amazing builders, amazing weapon makers, and very bold traders, and they nurtured contact with other city-states from Europe and the Mediterranean. They also kept their stocks and transactions, their money and their goods, under close control. So they were an interesting group of people. Alright, so we now have Mycenaeans, people from the area called Mycenaes, located on the Peloponnesus. Alright, it was the northeastern region of Peloponnesus. And I spelled that wrong. Or maybe I didn't. Oh, yes I did. 2 N's. All right, next one. And last one. Okay. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to take some of this definition out. But the classic age, the term classical Greece or Greek, the term classic age, when we're referring to ancient Greece, it refers to the period between the Persian Wars at the beginning of the 5th century and the death of Alexander the Great, okay, in 323 BC. So yes, I do want you to put all this. Now, I get it that you don't know what all of this means right now, and you're probably thinking, gee, Miss Wills, this standard only asked me what the location of ancient Athens was and how their trade on the Mediterranean made an impact in their culture and in their society. You didn't tell me we were going to be talking about all this other stuff. Well, all this other stuff is going to come into play later, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get some of these definitions out of the way with this standard, and then we're going to move on. Now, basically, when you look at this standard again, and it says, explain how the geographical location of ancient Athens and other city-states contributed to their role in maritime trade, their colonies in the Mediterranean, and the expansion of their culture, then when you look back at this map, you can see that when they started moving people, or when people started moving and establishing all these colonies all throughout the Mediterranean Sea, this increased the size of their empire. Okay, so Greece was getting more powerful and they were getting wealthier because they were trading in different areas. And the more that they established these colonies to trade with, and yes, these colonies were part of Greece. Remember, this was the parent land, and these were the kids who moved away from home, and they still had to rely on them. But don't you think that if you were living down here, or if you were living over here next to the Nile Delta, and you traded for some really cool stuff that the people of Greece had, that other people that were in this region might see it and go, hey, I'll trade you this wool that I have for that really cool piece of pottery, or that really, really neat olive oil that you're selling. I would take some of that. So even though this map goes to 550, remember they continued, according to that video we watched, they continued to spread their colonies all throughout here. Alright, so let's look back. So how did the location help? Well, the location helped because they were right here in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. They were right in the center of it. They were, and Rome was. Well, don't you think that Italy and Rome and Sicily, well, Sicily's smaller, but don't you think they started competing against each other? Because here they are in the center of the Mediterranean Sea. They've got access to all of these areas all throughout here. Plus, they can leave the Mediterranean, go out into the ocean and start trading. So one of the reasons that their location was great was because they were in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. Now, how did this help the other city-states in their maritime trade? Because all these other regions that they're trading with can trade for Greek items that they have. They can spread their goods and trade more, making them wealthier. Alright? Now, their colonies, when they spread their colonies out, again, putting these colonies all throughout the Mediterranean Sea, it helped them to trade in different areas. This is all about trading, maritime trade, trade on the water. Remember the video said that Rome built their roads on the land? Well, the Greeks built their roads on the water. And this is how they made it to all these different places to trade. They sent their people from the mainland to establish colonies on all different parts of the land around the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, well, how did that expand their culture? Well, duh. If you've got people going from the mainland and they're taking their culture, their religion, their beliefs way over here, then they're going to spread those religions and those customs and belief over here. Okay, so you're spreading tangible items and non-tangible items. All right, so hopefully you can explain this now a little bit better. Why was it good location? It was in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. How did it contribute to their role in maritime trade? They went all over the Mediterranean Sea in boats trading. What did they do to trade? They established colonies all throughout the Mediterranean so that they could trade their goods with the colonies. Colonies could take those goods and trade it with other people around them. as they traded more, they got more and more colonies throughout the Mediterranean. It also not only sent out their tangible items, but it sent out their non-tangible, their cultural influence, their religion. People wanted to be like the Greeks when they started seeing some of the stuff that they had and some of the stuff they were trading, the way they dressed, the way they lived. Okay? So, between this 200-year span, they're creating or they're establishing colonies, and they're trading amongst their colonies in these other areas all throughout the Mediterranean Sea. Alrighty, now we're not going to do the bell ringer right now, okay? Because it says, tell me in your own words, how did the location of Athens and other city-states make it easy to trade tangible and non-tangible items? But be prepared, because I am going to ask you that question eventually and see if you can tell me again. Alright, you should have the front of this done with your map marked. You should have the back of this done with all your definitions and, where to go, with the diagram of the Acropolis labeled. Alright, if you have all that done, then you're done with this video, and I'll see you bye.